You're listening to the Business Marketing Show, episode number 27. You can find us at businessmarketingshow.com, on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher.
Welcome to the Business Marketing Show. I'm your host, Brendan Tully, here with my co-host, Ed Keay-Smith. Good morning, Ed.
G'day, Brendan. How are you, mate?
I'm well, Ed. How are you going?
Very, very good. What are we talking about today for the folks out there in internet land?
Sure. Today we're talking about conversion rate stuff, which really means getting more sales and inquiries or whatever it is, phone calls, out of your website and online stuff without actually getting more traffic. So most business people and business owners and managers are so focused on getting more traffic. Everyone wants to be number one on Google and wants more traffic, but then there's very little focus on getting more out of your existing traffic. So I know for most of, and it's probably the same for you, for most of the clients who come to us, we start working with them, they actually have a lot of traffic. They're getting, they might be getting 50 visitors a day. The actual problem isn't a traffic problem, it's more a problem that those visitors aren't converting into inquiries or sales or phone calls or whatever it is. So today we are going to share some easy steps that will help you improve your conversion rate to get more inquiries, get more sales, get more phone calls, get more emails, and they're all pretty straightforward and they're mostly DIY-ish, if that makes sense.
And a lot of them are actually really slap on the side of the head, simple in terms of people should just be doing these common sense wise, but they just don't get done. The biggest one that annoys the living daylights out of me is no phone number anywhere to be found. We've talked about this in the past episodes, but so anyway, let's go from the start. At the very, very start, we have listed contact us optimization.
Yeah, contact us page optimization.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what you're talking about there. Most people have a very poorly built contact us page. So at the very minimum, you need the phone number on there. Let's run through some things that are on there that typically are missing. So phone number on there, a form on there as well as an email address. Making sure the contact form is working. That probably 50% of the time we get a new client and they have a contact form on the web page, but it's not working or not monitoring, or it's going to the wrong email address, or half the emails aren't getting to the destination. So that's a big one.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you're a physical location, a map, like an embedded Google map, and then a link so you can actually click across to Google Maps and find the bigger map.
Yes, important. What about people who don't have a physical presence? Can they take any advantage of Google Maps if you don't have an office? If you're a mobile consultant or something?
Yeah, I mean, if you are a business that goes to people, if you're, say, I guess a lawn mowing business, you can still take advantage of or Google Places. Like I think we talked about that in the Google Places episode, that you can have, there's something called a service area business, so you can still be in Google Places, but it just doesn't show an address for you. It'll just show a service area, I guess.
Okay. Gotcha. Cool. So that's something that they could optimize as well and make sure that's working on the page. So, have your phone number. If you want people to phone you, have your phone number at the top and on every single page. Clearly linked contact form or contact us page. Just make it easy. People shouldn't have to struggle to be able to get in touch with you.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll link across to an article I have on my website with contact us page optimization and contact us page mistakes. Like I'll just run through some of the things in there as well. A big one is the contact us page not in the menu, or it's hidden. It's very hard to find the contact us page. So typically we like to have it in the main menu and on the right hand side of the main menu, because that's kind of where people are trained to look for it. And a lot of people don't realize that the homepage gets a lot of traffic, but apart from the homepage, the contact us page is probably one of the top 3 most visited pages on your website. And if someone is going there, they are looking to get in touch. So these might seem like small tweaks and changes, but over the course of a year, they're going to make a big difference. So some of the other ones I have here, your ABN, so if you're an Australian business number, or your company registration number, because a lot of existing customers or suppliers might need that for a lot of different reasons, but that's a useful thing to have, and at a minimum it's going to cut out emails or inquiries asking for that. What else we've got the street address, and really if you're a retail business, that should be front and center, or a business where people are visiting you, and like we've just mentioned, an embedded Google map and a link across to Google Maps. What else we have? Postal address is important if people are going to be sending you mail. And another one, so I hate when I get to a contact us page, and we just mentioned putting your email address on there, but I often see that there's almost a whole company directory of people listed on there for different things. It's crazy. There'll be like 5 different email addresses and phone numbers on there, which is nuts. And it's just confusing. So I'd say don't do that. The fewer numbers, the better. Really, you should have one email address and one phone number for people to get in touch. And then they call through the reception or a generic email or a general inquiries mailbox, and the inquiries get handled from there, handed off to the right person. I don't know if you've seen that or what your thoughts on that are.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's very annoying. It's too complicated. So simplify those for sure.
What else we got? So we talked about the contact us form working. So one of the first things we do this contact us page optimization, but we'll go and test the form as well and make sure it's going somewhere.
Gee, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So
fancy that. I mean,
yeah.
That's the sort of thing that you would think would be everyone would do that, but it doesn't happen, does it?
Yeah. I mean, also there's another important thing to point out here, that a lot of contact forms have this bug in them that someone submits an inquiry in the contact us form, and it will send it via email to whatever the inquiries or the info at or sales at email address is. Now, here's the problem. If there is some sort of email issue between the form and the mailbox, something gets lost, there's an internet connectivity problem or whatever, the majority of contact forms, that inquiry is just lost. It just never gets to its destination. So you need to be wary, or you need to make sure that you're using contact us form that actually saves the inquiries in a database somewhere, as well as sending the email alert. So for WordPress, we use a plugin called Gravity Forms. So it saves the inquiry inside the WordPress database, the website, and it sends the email as well. So that's something else it's probably worth asking that question, because even though you might test the form today and it works, email is unreliable. Like, there are times where email is delayed or slow, and if that's how your contact form works, if it only relies on email to get the message to the destination, then it's likely there's some bleed off of inquiries they're not getting to your inquiries mailbox.
Yeah, very good point. So yeah, we use Gravity Forms as well, and we get our clients, we will recommend to them, we can't monitor that they are, but we recommend to them to look at their Gravity Forms list every day to make sure that it corresponds with their email list, and on the occasional times what you said happens, the emails don't get through for some reason, and there could be 1, 2, 10 people who have contacted them that are in the list on Gravity Forms, but they've never received the email. So at least that way they still have the contact details to follow them up. So very good tip. Thank you for that one. Anything else?
That's kind of all I've got.
First of all, just having one helps. That would be handy, folks. Yeah, that's it. That was, he fell over the line with his head forward, spent everything on that one. Thank you, Brendan. Next one we have is number 2. These are not necessarily in order, but they're, pretty much close to that. Heatmap tool. Now, is this where you have a map where you're out and you're very hot, or is it something different? What's a heatmap?
Well, I guess heatmap tools are heatmap analytics. There's a lot of different ones around the web, but basically it shows us what people are clicking on different web pages on the website. So what that enables us to do is see what's being clicked on and what's not being clicked on, and then make small changes to the layout and the structure of the website to optimize it for a better user experience, and with the goal of getting more inquiries. That's quite a mouthful.
That's very good. So yes, so it gives us an indication of what their activities are on the page, Not you can have heat maps that give you like a live recording of what people are doing, all their mouse clicks and things. That's more advanced and more expensive. But there are other simplified versions of giving very good information and feedback that we use. One called Crazyegg, which is very cool. So tell us a bit about what Crazyegg is. There's other ones like it, but Crazyegg's our tool of choice.
Yeah.
So
that's
probably
what is the most popular heat map tool. So it will show us where someone's clicked on a page, and where that doesn't sound like it's very useful, but where it's useful is there's a few different ways it's useful. If you're getting a lot of clicks on something that doesn't link somewhere, then the user has the expectation that that needs to be a link. So fixing that will improve the user experience, and people will stick around longer and they'll be able to better find what they're looking for. Another good one is optimizing the layout of menus. So if a lower item on a menu or something lower down the page below the fold, so if you think the website's split into two, so the above the fold and below the fold, the bit below the fold is the bit where people need to scroll to see it. So if there's something that's below the fold that gets a lot of clicks, then maybe that should be moved to above the fold, or it should be more prominent and be moved up on the web page. So often those small tweaks and changes over the course of a year and hundreds and thousands of visitors, if you make those small little tweaks, and it might be a 5% improvement, but often they can be a massive win over time. Very true. You can also tell what percentage of people having to scroll further to look at the page, correct? There's a little like a scroll bar indicator on it as well. Absolutely. So you see how much time people are spending going up and down, and you can adjust things accordingly to that. It's very handy. It's very informative. And we had an exact example of what you were saying with Matt Reed from Project Photography. This is when he was running Didgeridoo, and they had the images on the page for shipping and handling, and they had a couple of the suppliers that they were using for that, but they didn't go anywhere. So then they were linked through to an information page about shipping. So that just made sense to have it going somewhere rather than nothing. So that was cool to see that sort of figured out. Otherwise, you'd never know. If you didn't have the heat map, you would not know that people were clicking on an image that didn't go anywhere. You just would have no idea. So, and it's I don't know, for the average business and traffic volume, it's about $10 a month or something, isn't it? So I think you can monitor 10 pages. It's very cheap. Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. The other one that we use is LuckyOrange Analytics, and that the big difference there is we can see, which sounds very creepy, but it's very useful. We can see recorded videos of user sessions, so we can actually see the mouse movements moving up and down, people clicking through, and basically watch recorded visitor sessions, which can be very useful in figuring out what people are doing on the websites, like looking over their shoulder, even though it is super creepy for someone that hasn't. If you haven't seen that before, it's definitely worth checking out, and it's like you'll be amazed at the data you can collect on people on your website. Yeah, so that's handy, and that wouldn't necessarily be something you would have to do long term. You could only do it for a month or two to get an idea, and that could get some very quick information back that'll help you adjust your site layout, etc. So that's a cool one to look at. And there's variations of these, LuckyOrange and Crazyegg. There's other ones out there. These are just ones we recommend that we use. So cool. So anything else on heat maps? Well, that's kind of it. Check out Crazyegg. Check out LuckyOrange. LuckyOrange. Okay. Details in header. That's not very descriptive, Ed. What does that mean? You wrote it down, Brendan. So I'm just reading it off the list. Right. So a lot of making small changes to the header section of your website can make a big difference. Probably the biggest change you can make is adding the phone number to the header section. So if you want calls from people, or even if you don't, so we do this often in an e-commerce business, and for the e-commerce businesses we do consulting for, and what they'll find is they won't get any extra phone calls generally, but it acts as kind of like a trust indicator. So by having the phone number in the header, people trust the business more, and it actually improves the number of sales they're getting. So it seems kind of weird, but if you think about it logically, if the phone number's there, people trust you, and they're more happy to just go through the checkout, as a first-time visitor to the site. So having your whatever the call to action is in the website for the website in the header is a good one. So having the phone number. Book online is another good one. Have a link to whatever the book online or make a reservation. That can also be a good one too. Any thoughts on that, Ed?
Yes, I would agree with that. I'm not 100% sure about the e-commerce side of it, because you deal far more with the e-commerce side than me, so I'll trust you on that one in terms of whether they're going to call or not. But the fact is, most people who are going to an e-commerce site probably expect just to do the order and do it through the system rather than making a phone call. But the only way people will know is to test this, I suppose. They can, if they don't have a phone number in their header at the moment, they can trial it with a phone number, and if all of a sudden they start getting inundated with painful phone calls, then they could revert back to how it was before. But
well, the idea there is, if you're getting a lot of phone calls about something, we've talked about in some of the other episodes that the problem isn't the phone calls, the problem is that the website isn't answering those questions by itself. So if you're getting particular inquiries over and over again, that's an indication that you need to fix something or add more content. Like if you're getting a lot of first-time buyers questions, then maybe you need to get a buyer's guide up on the website, a PDF or some videos that explain the product and explain the process of buying. So often having the phone number or making it more prominent can be a good way to kind of get these sort of insights. Like we talked about that in the live chat episode. That's a big way to use live chat. That it's not necessarily, the goal isn't necessarily better customer service, it's uncovering those weaknesses in the site and fixing those.
Amen.
So one other thing for the header is I have this thing called the 3-second rule. So when someone comes to your website, within 3 seconds ideally they should be able to work out what the site is about. So one good way to do that is to have a short little blurb in the header explaining what the business does, or like a little tagline. So that particularly for B2C businesses where they're more retail focused, that can also be a big win, because you've got to remember that there's a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that people come to their website through the homepage, but probably more than 50% of the traffic coming to your website actually comes from the other pages in the site. So people have no way, without that thing and without that little tag or blurb or whatever in the header, there's no way for people to know immediately what the business does or what the website's about. So having that little tagline in the header can be a big help.
Yes, true. Very, very good tip. So that's information to have in the header. The next one we've got is search. So we're talking about having a search box or a search functionality on the website.
Yeah, so I guess the header's a good place for this as well. So
yeah,
I know you love having search. That's a big thing that you bang on about.
I bang on about it, don't I, Brendan?
You do bang on about it a lot, Ed.
Yeah, I do. And I think let's bang on about it some more.
Tell me about search, Ed. You can bang on some more for me.
Well, in terms of having, you end up on someone's website, whatever it is, you may not necessarily find straight away what you need or are looking for when you get to that website. Now, even if they have a fantastic menu system or whatever it is that they've got set up for their navigation, and that's all laid out properly and lots of info, you still may not be able to find what you're looking for. So it's an obvious thing to be able to go somewhere, type in a keyword term or phrase, and let the system find it for you in 2 seconds. So there's many sites I go to, and it just drives me nuts because you can't find it, you can't search for it. So what's the next obvious course of action? The back button. That's the next course of action. I'm out of here. I'm not coming back because it's useless. So I feel that there's very few sites out there that would not need to have a search functionality on them. Do you agree or disagree with my banging on?
I agree completely, Ed. So people are trained because of Google. People are trained to use search. So I think it's a no-brainer that you need good quality search on your site. So Google actually offers custom search for websites where you can get kind of a Google-powered search for your site. So that's often a very good option if whatever CMS you have doesn't have very good search built into it.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about that is that you can potentially be taken away from your site to someone else's site.
Yeah, it does
Correct?
show it. It never used to,
Yes,
but
no?
now it does. It shows. Sometimes it shows AdWords ads inside the search, so you can actually pay for. There is a paid version of it that doesn't show the ads.
Okay, yeah. So it's an option. I think with most systems these days, in terms of e-commerce, out of the box, and WordPress out of the box, or you can add a better high quality search plugin for WordPress. It's all ready to go, and it's all database driven. That's what WordPress is built on. So there's really no excuse for it, I'm sorry to say. So if you don't have search on your website now, it's easy to add it, particularly if it's a WordPress site. So definitely need to have search. I'm finished my banging. We can now move on to something else. So live chat. We talked about live chat not long ago in an episode. So live chat. What is your viewpoint on live chat, Brendan?
Yeah, we have a whole episode on it. I guess the short version is my preference. Well, there's two ways to look at live chat. One, you can have live chat all the time, and it's a great customer service and sales tool. Better for bigger businesses and B2C businesses. If you have someone who's sitting there taking phone calls all day, it's a no-brainer to offer that live chat functionality on the website, because a lot of people just want to ask a quick question before they buy. So that's my first point there. And then the second point, you can run it strategically for 30 days and use something called proactive chat, where it will prompt your visitors and start a chat session with them. And that's also, like we just talked about, it's a good way to get insights from customers you wouldn't normally get. Like the questions they ask are a good indicator of what's missing on the website or what information you need to make more prominent on the website.
Yeah, awesome, and easy to get started. And if you use something like Zopim, Zopim,
yep,
that's a one. There are others out there, but we'll link to the live chat one as well for that, so you can go and listen to that in much more detail.
Cool.
Yep. So live chat is another definite thing to test at least.
Yep.
So number 6, landing page and split testing. So sending traffic through to a particular page designed for a specific project or a specific marketing assignment, that's not the word I'm looking for. So you're sending traffic through to a particular page, and you want to actually get some information back on whether that page is working or not. And if you don't do something called A/B split testing, then you're not going to know whether that page is really the best it could be.
Yep.
So you need to be able to test headlines and body copy and things like that. And there are tools out there that make it a lot easier to do now than before.
Yep.
So
probably not so much a DIY one unless you're very technical, right?
if you're using something like Optimizely, you still need to know a little bit about what you're doing. But
my experience, a lot of websites don't even have a dedicated page for each product or service. So that would be my first step. And we've talked about that in another episode. For every product or service you sell, you should have a page about it. That would be step one, I think.
Yes, I was talking about this the other day at a workshop about having dedicated landing pages. And I used the example, if you're selling widgets and you have a blue widget and you have a red widget, and someone does a search on Google for a blue widget, do you send the traffic through to the page that is about the blue widget or about the red widget? It's a trick question. No, it's not a trick question. Of course you send the traffic through to the blue widget page, but you have to have a blue widget page. So you've got to create that page dedicated to that particular product or service. So, and that's, as you said earlier, one of the places to start is at least having proper setup of variations of pages in your site for each product and service before you even start doing split testing.
Yep.
So what else else should we talk about in terms of those basics?
So we need a page. Well, I guess we can do some basic split testing. I mean, for the level of client we work with, we don't do much split testing. We do Heatmap stuff, but at the basic level, most of them don't actually have the page for each product and service. So that's generally where most of our focus is.
Okay. So then there's things we can do taking it further. We can do split testing. So we can actually have it so that when the traffic comes through to a particular page, there's a tool set up or a system set up to rotate things like headlines and swap out headings or body copy on the page. And that way you actually get to see which one converts more. So there's tools we use like Optimisely, which we can list, which is good. Do you use anything else other than Optimisely? What's your preferred method?
Yeah, we use that tool sometimes. That's generally it.
So most people don't do this, and most people listening to this will probably never do this, but if you really want to find out how good a particular page is, it's harder to do for every single page in your website, and you maybe wouldn't go to that extreme because of the time to do it. But particularly if you're running promotions or specials or whatever it is, those pages are important to test and measure, so you know you're getting the most out of your offer that you're sending traffic through to. So
yeah, I mean, one thing we do as well in terms of we talked about this, I think, on that 80/20 episode, is in Google Analytics we'll look at the top 5 or 10 pages that are on the website in terms of the amount of traffic they're getting, and we focus on improving those. So I actually did this process on my own website. One of the pages, it was the 3rd most popular page in my website, and I did some last weekend I did some work on it. It was in position 4 in Google for the keyword I wanted to rank for, and I added some more copy to the page, and we added a video. We added 2 videos, I think, to the page, and did a little bit of SEO work on it, and put it in position 1. And I can see that people are sticking around much longer on that page as well. It's working a lot better. So that's also another approach that we use, is looking at those top 5 or 10 pages and really focusing on improving those, because I mean, you've got the limited time and effort. So, and if they're getting the bulk of the traffic, small little wins, if you get a small win with that A/B split testing, then it's a big multiplier because it has a lot of traffic.
Too true. Very, very good. So there's 6 very, very good tips and things to improve for your conversion. So I would suggest, if you're not doing any of those things, start at number 1, basics of contact forms and phone numbers and things like that. Even just making those simple, obvious choices and changes can improve things dramatically. So have a look through, look at the list that we've got here that will be in the show notes, and start testing and measuring your conversion changes.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Thank you, Brendan.
Thanks, Ed.
And thanks everybody for listening, and we'll catch you on the next show.
All right. See you next time.
Bye-bye. You've been listening to The Business Marketing Show. You can find us at businessmarketingshow.com, on iTunes, SoundCloud and Stitcher.